There's a kind of garden that works while you sleep, not a garden you have to replant every spring or nurse through every season from seed, not one that collapses the moment you turn your back. I am talking about perennial crops. Plants that you put in the ground once, tend with patience, and then watch return year after year, producing food, medicine, and income on a cycle as dependable as the seasons themselves. American gardeners are quietly discovering something that farmers in the ancient world understood long ago, that the most valuable land is not the land you work the hardest, it is the land you plant the wisest. Today we are going inside 10 of the most profitable perennial crops growing across America right now. These are not ornamentals. These are not novelties. These are plants with markets behind them, history beneath them, and real money growing in them. If you know how to work with their nature rather than against it, stay with me through this video. By the end, you will know exactly which of these crops fits your land, your climate zone, and your financial goals, and how to get started. Before we get into plant number 1, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell so you never miss a video from Nature Green Discoveries. We publish practical, profitable growing content every week. Now let's dig in. 1. Asparagus, Asparagus officinalis. Let us begin with a plant that the ancient Romans called the king of vegetables and paid handsomely for. Asparagus is one of the oldest cultivated crops in recorded history. Egyptian scrolls dating back to 3000 BC show it being offered as a gift to the gods. The Romans carried it across Europe, growing it in the gardens of emperors, drying it in the Alps to preserve it through winter. It has never lost its status. Today, fresh asparagus commands between $3 and $6 per pound at retail, and organic asparagus can fetch double that. The national market for asparagus in the United States alone is worth over $1 billion annually. Here is the truth about asparagus that most beginning gardeners do not understand. It is slow money, but it is the best kind of slow money there is. You plant asparagus crowns, wait 2 years before taking a significant harvest, and then, for the next 20 to 30 years, that same bed sends up spears every spring without being replanted. A mature asparagus bed, properly maintained, is a living annuity. A well-managed quarter-acre bed can produce over 2,000 pounds of asparagus in peak years at even $3 per pound at a farmer's market. That is $6,000 from a single quarter acre, harvested in a 6 to 8 week window in spring. USDA hardiness zones. Asparagus thrives in zones 3 through 8. It performs best where winters are cold enough to give the plant a proper dormancy, which means it loves the Northeast, the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, and the cooler parts of the South. In the Pacific Northwest, it does beautifully. In deep southern zones, production declines significantly due to insufficient cold hours. For profit, sell fresh-cut bundles at farmers' markets in spring. Sell to restaurants and specialty grocers who pay premium for locally grown spears. Consider value-added. Pickled asparagus sells for $8 to $12 per jar at specialty food shops. CSA box inclusion is another avenue, since asparagus is one of the most anticipated spring offerings a CSA can deliver. 2. Elderberry, Sambucus nigra/Sambucus canadensis. If there is one plant that has crossed from the garden into the pharmacy aisle in the last decade, it is elderberry. Elderberry has been used medicinally across Europe and indigenous North America for centuries. It appears in the records of Hippocrates, who called the elder tree his medicine chest. Native American tribes used every part of the plant, the bark, the leaves, the berries, the flowers, for ailments from fever to rheumatism. What changed in the modern era is that science caught up with tradition. Clinical studies have shown elderberry extract to be effective in shortening the duration of colds and flu, and the global elderberry market has exploded as a result. In 2023, the elderberry supplement market in the United States was valued at over $1.4 billion, and it continues to grow. The American elderberry, Sambucus canadensis, is a native species perfectly adapted to much of the country. It grows aggressively, reaches full production in 3 to 4 years, and a single mature shrub can produce 8 to 15 pounds of berries per season. USDA zones, American elderberry grows in zones 3 through 9, making it one of the most geographically flexible perennial crops in this entire list. European elderberry, Sambucus nigra, performs best in zones 4 through 7. For profit, dried elderberries sell wholesale for $8 to $15 per pound. Fresh elderberries at farmers markets move quickly at $5 to $8 per pound. Value-added products, elderberry syrup, elderberry gummies, elderberry tea, command extraordinary margins. A 16-ounce bottle of elderberry syrup retails for $15 to $25. If you can produce 20 pounds of berries per plant across 10 plants in a small 1/10 acre planting and convert that into syrup, you are looking at thousands of dollars in revenue from a very small footprint. Medicinal herb buyers, natural food co-ops, and online direct-to-consumer sales are all viable channels for the elderberry grower. 3. Fig, Ficus carica. Few plants carry as much history as the fig. The fig is one of the first plants ever cultivated by human beings. Archaeological evidence places fig cultivation in the Jordan Valley as far back as 11,400 years ago, making it potentially older than wheat, barley, or legumes as a deliberately farmed crop. It appears in the Bible more than 60 times, in the Quran, in ancient Greek and Roman texts. The Buddha attained enlightenment under a fig tree. The fig is, in the truest sense, a companion of civilization, and it is one of the most profitable small farm fruits you can grow in America today. Fresh figs are exceptionally fragile. They bruise easily, spoil quickly, and do not transport well, which is exactly why they almost never appear in supermarkets and almost always command premium prices when they do. At farmers markets and farm stands, fresh figs sell for $6 to $10 per pint. Dried figs sell for $8 to $14 per pound. Fig preserves and jams command $5 to $12 per jar. A mature fig tree, well-sited and well-maintained, can produce 40 to 60 pounds of fruit per season. A small planting of 10 trees becomes a very productive and very profitable operation. USDA zones. Most fig varieties perform best in zones 7 through 10, which covers the entire American South, California, Arizona, and much of the Pacific coast. However, cold hardy varieties like Chicago Hardy and Brown Turkey can survive in zones 5 and 6 with some winter protection, bringing figs into the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic regions as well. For profit, target high-end farmers markets, specialty grocers, bakeries, charcuterie suppliers, and fine dining restaurants. Chefs love fresh figs. Dried figs and fig jam move well online. Fig-infused honey and fig balsamic are niche products with strong margins in the specialty food market. 4. Blackberry, Rubus alleganiensis, and hybrids. The blackberry is one of America's most native perennial fruits and one of its most underutilized commercial opportunities. Wild blackberries have sustained indigenous peoples across North America for thousands of years, eaten fresh, dried for winter stores, used medicinally for everything from diarrhea to mouth sores. European settlers recognized them immediately, and cultivated varieties began appearing in American gardens by the 1800s. Today, the commercial blackberry is a different creature from its thorny wild ancestor. Modern thornless varieties like Triple Crown, Navajo, and Wachita produce large, sweet berries with dramatically higher yields, and none of the painful harvest that discouraged older farmers. Blackberries reach full production by year 3 and can remain productive for 15 to 20 years. Yields from a well-managed planting can reach 6,000 to 10,000 pounds per acre. At average pick-your-own prices of $3 to $5 per pound, or farmers market prices of $4 to $7 per pint, the math is compelling. USDA zones, blackberries are among the most zone-flexible perennial fruits in America. Depending on variety, they grow in zones 4 through 9. Eastern and southern states are prime territory. Arkansas, Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas are major blackberry-producing states. The Pacific Coast produces outstanding crops as well. Even Midwestern gardeners in Zone 5 and 6 can succeed with the right variety selection. For profit. Pick your own, PYO operations are extremely profitable for blackberries since customers do the harvest labor. Farmers markets, local restaurants, food co-ops, and bakeries are strong sales channels. Value-added blackberry products, wine, jam, vinegar, tea blends, Extend your marketing season and capture margin far beyond fresh fruit prices. 5. Raspberry, Rubus idaeus. The raspberry has a quality that sets it apart from almost every other perennial on this list. It commands some of the highest prices per pound of any fruit sold in America. Fresh raspberries routinely sell for $5 to $9 per half pint at grocery retail. At farmers markets, that number can climb to $4 to $6 per half pint, which translates to $8 to $12 per pound. Organic raspberries can push even higher. The raspberry is a luxury fruit with a mass market appetite, and that is a rare and valuable combination. Raspberries have been cultivated since at least Roman times and were well established in European gardens by the Middle Ages. In America, both red and black raspberry species grow wild across the continent. The cultivated raspberry industry, centered in Washington State, Oregon, California, and Michigan, produces a fruit that is always in demand and frequently undersupplied, particularly in local and regional markets. Summer-bearing raspberries produce one intense harvest in early summer. Ever-bearing varieties produce 2 crops, one in summer, one in fall, extending your season and smoothing income across more of the year. Modern varieties like Heritage, Caroline, and Anne, a yellow raspberry, are proven performers. USDA zones, red raspberries thrive in zones 3 through 8, with their sweet spot in the cooler climates of the Northeast, Pacific Northwest, Upper Midwest, and Mountain West. They dislike extreme summer heat, which limits production in the Deep South. Black raspberries are native to eastern North America and perform beautifully in zones 4 through 8. For profit, farmers markets are the highest value retail channel for fresh raspberries. U-pick operations work well. CSA boxes, direct restaurant sales, and frozen raspberries, processed and sold by the pound, open up year-round income since raspberries freeze beautifully and bakeries and smoothie shops buy frozen fruit consistently. We are halfway through our list, and I want to hear from you. Which of these crops are you most interested in growing on your property? Drop a comment below right now. Tell me your state or growing zone and what you're working with. I read every comment, and your answer might shape our next video. Let's keep going. 6. American pawpaw, Asimina triloba. Here's the plant that will surprise you most on this entire list. The American pawpaw is the largest native fruit in North America. It tastes like a cross between a banana, a mango, and a custard apple. It grows wild from Nebraska to the Atlantic coast, from Ontario down to Florida. Thomas Jefferson grew it at Monticello. Lewis and Clark survived on it during their expedition. George Washington reportedly loved them chilled, and yet almost no one outside of Appalachia has tasted one. That is exactly why the pawpaw represents one of the most interesting market opportunities in American specialty agriculture today. It is not in supermarkets because it spoils too quickly to survive commercial distribution. Ripe pawpaws last only 2 to 3 days at room temperature. That fragility, which is a disaster for industrial agriculture, is an advantage for the local grower, because it creates a product that can only be sold close to home at premium prices with zero mass market competition. Pawpaw trees are cold-hardy, drought-tolerant once established, resistant to most pests and diseases, and require very little intervention once mature. A single tree produces 25 to 100 pounds of fruit per year at peak. The fruit at local markets and specialty food events commands $4 to $8 per pound, sometimes more. USDA zones 5 through 9, with the best natural range across the eastern United States. The Midwest, Appalachia, and the Mid-Atlantic are prime territory. States like Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, and Missouri are pawpaw heartland. Limited commercial production exists in these regions, which means early movers have a significant advantage. For profit, farmers markets and farm stands are your primary channels. In person, local, direct. Pawpaw festivals, the largest is held annually in Albany, Ohio, drawing over 1,000 attendees, are a major marketing vehicle. Restaurants with locally focused menus pay premium for pawpaws. Value-added, pawpaw ice cream, pawpaw bread, pawpaw butter, captures the flavor for customers who want shelf-stable options. Seed and seedling sales are also a growing secondary market as more gardeners discover the tree. 7. Lavender, Lavandula angustifolia, and hybrids. Lavender is not merely a plant, it is an industry. The global lavender market, encompassing essential oil, dried flowers, personal care products, culinary applications, and agritourism, is worth billions of dollars, and American lavender farming is one of its fastest-growing segments. The United States imports the majority of its lavender oil from France and Bulgaria, but domestic production is expanding rapidly as consumers increasingly seek locally sourced, traceable botanical products. Lavender has been cultivated for over 2,500 years. The Romans added it to their baths. The word lavender itself derives from the Latin lavar, meaning to wash. Medieval healers used it for anxiety, headache, and insomnia. The modern aromatherapy and wellness industries have simply rediscovered what ancient practitioners knew. Lavender works on the nervous system in measurable, documented ways. A single acre of lavender, properly managed, can yield $3,000 to $4,000 from dried bundles alone, and multiples of that if you extract essential oil or sell value-added products. Lavender agritourism? You cut lavender fields, farm experiences, lavender festivals can generate $50,000 to over $100,000 per acre annually from the right location. USDA zones, true lavender, Lavandula angustifolia, performs best in zones 5 through 8. Lavandin hybrids, Lavandula X intermedia, which produce more oil, are well suited to zones 5 through 9. Lavender demands excellent drainage, full sun, and low humidity conditions. The Pacific Northwest, the Rocky Mountain states, the Great Plains, and parts of the Northeast are ideal. The Southeast struggles with lavender due to high summer humidity and heat, though elevated, well-drained sites can succeed. For profit. Dried lavender bundles are the simplest entry point. Low overhead, long shelf life, strong demand at markets and craft shows. Essential oil extraction requires distillation equipment, but commands $30 to $200 per ounce depending on grade and variety. Lavender sachets, soaps, culinary lavender, honey, and teas are all established value-added markets. And agritourism. Inviting the public to walk your blooming fields in summer may be the highest revenue channel of all. 8. Blueberry, Vaccinium corymbosum and relatives. The blueberry is America's fruit. No other country in the world produces more blueberries than the United States. The domestic industry generates over $1 billion annually, and yet local growers still cannot keep up with demand at farmers markets, farm stands, and pick-your-own operations.